Hello, everyone. Welcome to our learning session for Freelancer Profile. My name is Gabriel Llanes. I'm a digital marketing consultant, and this is I think, the sixth learning session for the virtual assistance course. I hope you guys are gonna get by with me because I'm kind of sick right now. But I wanted to actually record this class to make sure that we are on top of our requirements. And I think this is not going to be super boring because we're going to be talking about freelancer profiles. We'll start with the theories, and then I'm going to be sharing to you guys my profiles, which actually helped me launch a career out of freelancing. It's already, I think, around my 10th year in the freelancing industry. I have been very grateful for the endless opportunities that the freelancing industry has been giving me, and it has really sustained me for the past decade. And I wanted to impart some of the learnings that I've actually acquired over the past few years. So let's start. So um, we'll talk first about the discussion, what the agenda is, and then we'll break it down later. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the freelancer toolkit. What are the basic requirements that you need to have in order for you to actually have um, a successful freelancing career, or really, just to jumpstart your career to begin with. So we need to make sure that we are actually prepared before we go into that journey. And then secondly, we're going to be talking about building your profile and portfolio. And lastly, we're going to discuss some of the frequently asked questions to freelancers, because diba, a lot of us, even if there are a lot of freelancers in the industry, there still is a lot of confusion about what exactly is a freelancer. Is it really just about um, getting your backpack and traveling all over the world and then working from the beach? Is it really the kind of lifestyle that most freelancers have? Or maybe it's not, right? It's not always unicorns and rainbows. So we'll try to break that down as well. So freelancer profile creation, right? So this is like the starting point for every freelancer, because for most cases, it's not about your job doesn't really start the moment you have a laptop. Your work or your career doesn't start the moment you have a mobile phone to be able to respond to clients, but it's really the client facing interactions. And before you even ventured into that, it's the visibility that you're trying to build. And that's where freelancer profiles come in, because even if you don't promote it, as long as you logged your profiles in the database of a certain e-commerce marketplace between clients and service providers like you will always somehow show up to the feed, as long as the skills that you place in there is relevant or are relevant. So let's start with portfolio, right? So um, usually you need to be able to have a curriculum vitae or a resume. And I think that's kind of like straightforward, but it's not something that's similar to what you've been used to doing, like biodata. Curriculum vitae in the context of virtual assistants is an opportunity for you to showcase skills that are relevant to virtual assistants. So any experience that is not relevant, like for example, you used to work for a fast food chain and then you're applying for a job that is completely different from what you do in that particular fast food chain, then to no offense, you don't have to really include that particular experience, because the curriculum vitae is supposed to be created to highlight your skills and to reinforce the strengths of your profile and why you are a good fit for that particular job. The second thing you need to take note is best work showcase. So of course, when you already landed let's say for example, you were able to pick the interest of the client. The second thing that they will ask for is the best works showcase or the portfolio. They will actually dig down deeper into what have you done so far, and what specifically can you contribute to the company given the experience that you had and the contributions that you had with the previous clients that you have. Now, not all people have past clients. And on your case, since you're watching this learning session, then obviously most of you do not have a portfolio to showcase. If that is the case, then I would suggest that you build your portfolio from scratch. And what I mean by this is a portfolio that showcases your, like for example, graphic design skills. You create samples using tools like Canva or Adobe, Photoshop or Illustrator, and then build your portfolio from there. Make it, or you can also render free services for some friends who are looking for graphic designs, and then free services, and just tell them that you're actually building your portfolio, so you're not really asking for payment. Or you can also pitch your services to different companies. Some interns actually do that. They render free services in exchange for, just really building their portfolio. Sorry, it's so hot, so I gotta have to remove this jacket. And of course, professional looking photo. Make sure that you're appearing professionally in your freelancer profiles. Do not use freelancer photos that are super informal. Those kind of photos that you would actually just put in your social media channels with all the selfies, with all the Korean style hand gestures and things like that. So as much as possible, your photos should communicate that you are a freelancer who is ideal to work with and someone that you can actually trust. And then community involvement. So you want to make sure that you are highlighting the involvement that you have, not just in the community, but also your volunteering works. If you have been volunteering to different events, especially the digital ones, that's also an opportunity for you to be able to showcase that you are actually, you have the good network, you're investing on your learning, and you're pretty much a well-involved person who is investing on learning and aggressive to actually improve the job that he's working on. And then lastly is maintenance. So you want to make sure that all of your profiles, your portfolio are well updated, and that it's not forgotten, because that also speaks a lot about your work ethics. Second thing is obviously having gadgets, right? Like the laptop, the computer, mobile phone, internet connection. And then the website or the blog. Now, for most cases, for virtual assistants, it's not really essential at first. You do not need to have a website at first. But if you do have an opportunity to build your own website, a website can actually help you showcase your services, your branding. You can tell your story, and it can also serve as a resource for other people, so they can actually see that they can actually see what you're offering. They can actually see your services, like let's say you wanted to showcase photography services or video documentation services, but then you do not have an opportunity to showcase them in other social media platforms. So then you would actually upload the entire gallery of the best work showcase, like photos and videos that you've done before, in your website. And then fourthly, payment acceptance. So make sure that you actually have profiles in Payoneer and PayPal, and you have bank accounts. This is super important. Like, you need to have bank accounts where you can actually withdraw your money. And then coins.ph. I've actually noticed that coins.ph is not so popular. I mean, the popularity is a bit dwindling right now. If you are a freelancer, you would more likely, by default, should get a PayPal or Payoneer account, because that is the marketplace that allows your client to send you money, and you being able to withdraw that money as well into cash. That's how the process actually works. And then Lastly is application. So we have coordination, Basecamp or Trello, email, file storage like Dropbox, office productivity like Google Suite, which is my favorite, but you can also use Microsoft and many other tools. You know, I used to actually use a certain a suite as well. I just really forgot the name. I used to do that for a certain European client, which is based in Ireland, but I wanted to talk about it when I remember it. Maybe the next learning session. And then time tracking. For time tracker, which is a requirement for some clients, you have to you I think one of the some of the best options would be T-Metric, Toggle, just look them up in Google. I am the type of person who do not accept time tracking because I want to be flexible with my time. So what I mean by that is I'm just fully aware that I do not want to work with clients who are so specific into how their employees are logging in and logging out and like really meticulously working on checking the snapshots of their computers. I don't like that, you know, because I felt like the fundamentals of working relationship is really trust. And if you trust your employees to deliver on a certain project, then I think that you shouldn't really track them. But that's my personal experience. I know that a lot of companies they put that up for a reason. It's not something bad. But over the years, you will also learn your personal preferences when it comes to time tracking. And then customer relationship management tool. So obviously, you need to have a customer relationship management tool to be able to monitor the the progress that you have with your clients. Like let's say you have a CRM, you're using HubSpot or you're using Streak that allows you to monitor whether you're able to send out your interview for this client, whether this particular client actually needs follow up, or this person is asking for your portfolio. That allows you to customize a specific relationship response or a specific interaction to that particular client depending on the level of interaction that you have with this person. Okay. Now, wait, I want to make sure I'm not skipping anything. Yeah. Build your profile and your portfolio. Now, the first thing that you really have to remember when you're building your profile and your portfolio is you want to make sure that the first impression actually lasts. And the first thing that they're going to be seeing is the headline. So, when writing the title for your profiles, you want to be clear, you want to be concise and very, very fairly specific. You cannot write something like super blurred, like I would say jack of all trades, because I would just easily say master of none, right? And then you can probably you're also gonna write something like your past experience, like teacher. And who cares about your past experience? In an online profile, the only thing that matters is what job are you looking for, or what particular position do you want to acquire, or what particular responsibility do you want to showcase to the world. So you would want to say something very specific, like social media copywriter or persuasive copywriter. Those kind of very, very specific. The more specific you are, the more you attract the right clients. And then you wanted to showcase as well the experience, the number of years of experience, and then your specialization. And then obviously you have to communicate your highest value. What does the highest value really mean? Highest value actually mean um, absent everything, like assuming that everything else is given. You have the perfect world, you have the right audience, you're in the same mind, you have the best setting possible. What can you possibly deliver? So, for example, one of my mentors actually used to say before that she gives or provides independent insights at her highest value. So the next question to that is, how do you deliver that highest value? So in my case, for example, I actually just say that I'm a digital marketing consultant, and at my highest value, I provide um, hyper localized, custom fitted solutions like digital innovation solutions and strategy and independent insights. So it really depends, it really depends on how you're going to showcase your highest value. The point is you have to be able to really know what can you really give to your client. You cannot say something like, at my highest value, I can do everything for you, you know, or at my highest value, I will always be able to deliver. You know, those kind of generic words, those things like when you read them, you've kind of like came across this sentence in Google. So that's not highest value, because when you read a particular line, you just know that this person really wrote it himself. And that's what you wanted to achieve. At your best value, what's your maximum? What's your expertise? That kind of questioning you have to be able to ask yourself so you get to write a good profile. And then qualifications. So your qualifications will be the technical ones, the education, the experience, your sample works, and then your community involvement. And then lastly, you want to make sure that the contact details you're writing in your profiles for the freelancing platforms are updated. So that would include mobile, social media, and email. Okay. Now, think about when creating your freelancer profiles. I keep on moving my video now. I hope you don't mind. When creating your freelancer profiles, you want to think about, are you the best choice? Do you attract customers? Yeah, let's deal with those first two, right? I think that those two particular questions, like are you the best choice, do you attract customers, is a question of commoditization that's been happening in the freelancing industry right now. Because for the past 5 years, let's just say 3 years back, when RISTT or Digital Jobs PH is still not available, there are a lot of freelancers trying out to be part of the freelancing industry, but there's just never really a formalized training for digital marketing and freelancing. And a lot of independent virtual freelancers would actually just come up with courses and then charge hefty fees for that. Well, on most cases, small business owners, especially rising agencies, they actually charge hefty fees for learning freelancing and digital marketing. And thanks to the government for actually coming up with a program like this, that we're able to talk about best practices in freelancing by people who have been in the freelancing industry for quite a while. Now, if the landscape is that competitive, that there's a lot of freelancers, new entrants going into the market, how do you market yourself as the best choice? Let's just say you're gonna say something like you wanted to apply as a virtual assistant, but the next question to that is like, you may be a good virtual assistant, but note that every application, there's an equivalent 100 other applications from all over the Philippines. How are you going to stand out? So you want to make sure that your application is kind of remarkable. So you want to say something like, I have 8 years of experience in persuasive copywriting, winning at least 5 writing competitions in the regional level. I'd want to be data driven maybe. I'd also want to actually highlight the skills that I have already acquired before. If you have accounting job before and you feel like you couldn't relate that in an online work, then try to find a way to actually make, like, try to showcase how that particular job that you've done before has shaped you to become the person and the professional that you are right now. Like, say something. I'm a chemical engineering graduate, and I always say something like, because I'm in a marketing job, and almost all of my jobs revolve around marketing management. How did a chemical engineer by training end up becoming the head of communications of a certain company here in Makati, right? So that's one question. And I always come to say that my chemical engineering training is not a waste. I think if you look at it, marketing and digital marketing is very data driven. You really have to be comfortable with numbers. It's very big on business intelligence and analytics. And if you're not comfortable with numbers, then marketing is just going to be very difficult for you. But if you understand theory and at the same time you understand numbers because you're comfortable with it, then I think that you're going to succeed in marketing. So in the same way, I think that chemical engineering really made me so comfortable with numbers that I actually just always want to immerse myself with tasks that allow me to revisit my engineering side. But that's just an example of how you're going to turn your background that you think is irrelevant into what you're going to venture next, which is virtual assistants and freelancing. And then urgency for immediate sale. Obviously, it's just really very similar to Cebu Pacific promos. They always say piece of fare only for 3 days. So how do you communicate that to your prospective clients? How do you actually tell them that you're offering your services for a limited time? But actually, that's kind of not possible right these days because you really are itching to look for a job. So you're only gonna pull that ace when it's necessary, but do not act up like you're up there when it's not yet. Yeah, you're gonna have to use that card when it's needed. Okay, convince new prospects to try you. For some people, actually, they send out guest posts. They actually send out samples or sample work. Most agencies actually create very detailed proposals for how they're going to design the digital marketing plan for the digital marketing. What I mean is like the strategy itself for the prospective clients. So as a marketing manager, for example, I usually would get a lot of proposals, and then in the proposals, they would already laid out the buyer persona. They would lay out the everything else that is needed to, like, social media posts of the brand, and that's the proposal stage alone. So that's one way to really convince new prospects. Like, even before they actually, even before you have the first interview, you have to prove to them that you already researched about the company. Case in point, I have this client in Canada, and they were looking for a marketing manager, and so they actually messaged me on online jobs. And I'm the type of person who, when I actually want something, actually it's not just want something. Most cases, I just actually always pull the 110% of everything, because that's just me. And so before the interview, I researched everything about the company, and I just actually came up with a social media audit even before we had our 10 p.m. interview. I remember that because I'm really very grateful with these guys. They're super kind. I think they're one of my biggest wins this year. So I think that's a good example of how it really ended up well. I landed a job. They like it so much that I really came ahead of all the other applicants just because I came up with a social media audit even before the interview happened. And that's really that's crazy OCD, but I think that you guys will actually take the extra mile to stand out. And then lastly is to recommit customers to being loyal. one thing that I would usually do is over deliver. I think that it's one way of saying that this is I'm committed to the mission of the company, and in order to for them to be loyal to me as a customer, I need to over deliver than what is expected. Excuse me. Okay, we have a party going on here, like music. If you guys could hear it, it's music travel love. Just so you guys are not gonna be bored. I know it's very difficult to listen to me. I'm also kind of like partly sick, and I know that you guys are also listening to this probably in the afternoon, so you're probably also feeling groggy and stuff like that. So I hope you don't mind. So with your service in mind, how do your customers benefit from them? You have to think of it as like a chart, a pie chart, right? One component of that is gain. How do your customers gain from your services? What do they gain from it actually? If I employ you as a person, let's say Maria, if I employ you, what will I get from you? That's the question. Because you're not going to be just another headcount in the payroll, right? And you don't want to be that person. I don't like flakers. And I don't like people who just, drive clients to bleed to bleed money for for their profit. I want people who are value driven. And so you gotta have to tell me what will I get from you if I hire you, and that's where you're going to answer my pain point, which is another factor in the pie. And then the last would be the actual job. So, what's the job that you're going to actually do? What's that particular missing thing that you're going to fill? Sorry, my boss actually chatted me. So okay, now let's go into 7 easy steps in creating a profile. I came up with this based on my research, but I think I actually also found this online. It's easy to look this up online, but I think this is the simplified version. So step one is write a headline that's clear, concise, and effective. And I already gave some tips on how to actually make it clear, concise, and effective. I think browsing through profiles in LinkedIn and learning how they actually position themselves is also a good way to look into how other freelancers position themselves online. Like some of my favorites would be Raf Mangabut. He's a persuasive copywriter in the Philippines, and I like the way he positioned himself online, especially in selling his services in Facebook. He's the founder of Copywriting Dojo, if I'm not mistaken. And then second, I would actually also recommend Christian San Jose. He's the founder of UX Plus. That's a very great. He's got a great profile in LinkedIn. You guys should check him out. And then lastly would be for Facebook pages. I would want you guys to check um, Nix Inigo. He's the founder of Social Media Academy. He's got a great page as well locally. Yeah, I think those three are solid. So step two, articulate the value you'll actually bring. So you have to be able to pronounce it. What value do you actually deliver? Who are you? Because if you're gonna tell me that I'm an all-around virtual assistant, that's kind of blurry. But I mean, you're gonna have to be at least good with something, right? Like very fairly specific. And then step three, share your qualifications and experience. Straightforward. Step four, be empathetic. Understand who exactly is the audience that you're talking to, and how will you be able to appeal to them so much so that you can create an emotional hook. Step 5, make it simple for people to contact you. If it's as clear as daylight that you can actually put your number in there, more of like a call to action as the next step for your customers, then do that. And then step 6, upload a professional photo. I already said that earlier. So sample of a good Upwork profile pitch. Yeah, this is an example. I think I actually lost. There used to be a name here, but this is a great pitch. Experienced writer and editor for SaaS and B2B companies. So B2B is actually business to business. SaaS is software as a service business model. And this guy is saying he's an experienced writer and editor for these types of companies. So he would introduce himself this way: I have over 10 years of experience working with SaaS and B2B that need to create concrete, measurable results. I've written for HubSpot, Fundera, GrowCode, Referral, Sasquatch, Handshake, and Sell My App. Here are some quotes from past clients. I think this is very strategic. If you have this, like testimonials from your previous clients, then make sure that it is actually highlighted in your bio. And then he added something like, I'm deeply passionate about my craft and my writing is free of verbiage, grammatically sound, and always based on thorough research. I treat every project as a unique, and you'll never find me on the wrong side of a deadline. Yeah. Okay. Use every part of your profile to showcase your skills. So this is one you can actually, for some, this is an Upwork example, by the way. So you could just actually check those skills that will apply to you. Actually, these are not skills. These are, oh yeah, these are skills. So translation for English Chinese, technical translations. He was actually saying that he knows how to translate Chinese English. I think the person, although we can't track, no, kasi the name is not here. I think I saw his name earlier when I was creating the slide. And then obviously certification. So another foundational step that you have to do when building your freelancing career is also to acquire certifications. And HubSpot is a good starting point for acquiring certifications. You have the inbound marketing. Yeah, you can start with the inbound marketing, and then you can actually level up to other courses and certifications. Other platforms where you can get certifications would be Udemy, Coursera, and I used to get a lot of certifications before. They're just everywhere. I have a list. I could actually share that to you guys in the group. And then additional tips to make your profile stand out. Make your profile less about yourself, but also about your clients. I think the good example to that would be the slide that I showed earlier, which is showing the testimonials, because that gives your client the impression that you are a trustworthy service provider. And then be consistent with your strongest skills. So back it up with your title, with your skills, overview, work history. It cannot be inconsistent. Okay, you cannot say that you are a social media guru like Emily of Emily in Paris, and then you only have 48 followers. Remember that, I'm not sure if you guys have watched Emily in Paris, but I just really noticed it firsthand because she was trying to say that she's a social media guru, right? Trying to give tips to different companies in Paris, but she started out with 48 followers. How is that possible? If you're working in a social media agency, at least we're expecting you guys to, you're expecting you as a person to at least have a couple of followers, right? So if you're saying that you're a social media guru, at least have the basics of social media prowess that you should be able to convey. And then be concise and straightforward in your language. Do not go circular around the point. Proofread each section carefully. Update your profiles regularly. This is important. You have to really constantly update your profiles regularly. So the ones that I'm using most of the time is LinkedIn, online jobs, Upwork, and then not Hubstuff Talent. I used to do that a lot before, but I don't use it anymore because I'm not focusing too much on my agency right now. But Hubstuff Talent is also good. And then keep a perfect responsiveness score. especially for those starting out, it's really very important. Do not keep your potential clients at bay. Make sure that you respond to them as soon as possible, because that will help you stand out. I'd rather connect to someone who actually responds to me in a matter of minutes rather than someone who actually takes days to reply. And then update your profile to available when you are. So yeah, this is very important. I actually keep my profile in LinkedIn available all the time just so I can actually see the latest trends in the market. So, for example, I always try to position myself as a marketing manager. And when I see openings in some of the dream clients that I wanted to get or work with in the future, I usually check the requirements regularly. Even if I'm not intending to apply, at least I know what they're looking for. Like, they need someone who has expertise in Google Ads. Then I know that I need to work on my Google Ads skills by getting my certification on that. So that's how it actually works. And where can you find online jobs? So one is social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. In Facebook, you can actually find postings in ICAP, Independent and Creative Advertising Professionals of the Philippines. There are also a lot of online jobs available in LinkedIn. Just type in remote work in the search bar. Job matching platforms, sobrang dami. We have online jobs at PH, Upwork, 109 Jobs, Fiverr. I think I've asked you guys to come up with a list of top 100 job matching platforms in the Philippines or even outside the Philippines. You can use that as your baseline on where you're going to apply during the 21-day digital marketing campaign period. And then offshoring companies. So there are companies that actually really hire Filipino freelancers for their job. We have Rare Job, we have Free Up. So they kind of sort like act they kind of act like BPOs except that their operations are fully virtual. So Rare Job is like that. I used to work with Rare Job. I think I'm still part of Rare Job actually. So I just teach every Sunday when I'm available just because I love talking to Japanese students. And then lastly would be personal referrals from other freelancers. You know what? To be honest, I have a lot of my clients before are actually came from personal referrals. So way back in 2014, I was working for a company in Ortigas, and I walk into the room where my boss is, and my boss was talking to a foreigner who is a partner for who is a company partner. So they're looking for operations in the Philippines and they're looking for people. And I'm so fortunate that I'm in that particular same room where the British guy is, and that British guy turned out to be one of my. I he hired me, and I started out from the lowest of the ranks. After like 6 years or five, after 3 years, I became a manager, and then I worked with them. I'm still working with them for now for 6 years already. So that's a great story for referral. You know, I was referred by my boss, and then this British guy, like we just developed this good working relationship. Yeah. Okay, so are we down to the last? Yeah. Checklist is your target persona on the platform. When looking at your profiles, by the way, when looking at, obviously, because you can't go through building an account in almost all platforms, right? You just have to really ask, is my target client on this platform? If you create an account in LinkedIn with the idea that I wanted to have a client who is based in Europe, the next question is, are they in LinkedIn? Are you trying, is the client that you're trying to attract in this particular platform? And of course, the other questions here will be relevant. How many posts a week will you actually create to be able to get the attention of your clients? By standard, you should be able to post regularly, siguro once a day. But if you're already busier than ever, then maybe 3 posts a week would be good. And then, what's the goal in this platform? Why are you creating an account in that particular platform? And then build credible links. So, this is what I'm talking about. This is not something that you can actually build overnight, but you gotta have to start building credible links. So social media, your website, email or newsletter, even Google Alerts, those subscriptions. You have to be very conscious about your online footprint. Like, do not, as much as possible, you limit your activities that are too personal. If you've been drinking, have you been drinking lately? You do not have to parade that all over social media, because right now companies are really very smart, especially now at the time of the pandemic. It's very easy to stalk people online and then compare their reputation against their online presence, right? So you gotta have to be very careful about your digital identity and interconnect internal and external content. So link goals. I think this is a little more another step already when you go higher than the basic level that you currently are, especially for entrant freelancers. But I think the key takeaway here is you want to create content that are interconnected, and you don't want to stop there. You want to make sure that this content is being spoken by influencers. That's why you create viral content. You want to create tactical initiatives like reaching out to different institutions, becoming a resource person like me. I'm a resource person for the ICT, and then metrics. So search ranking and traffic generated from it. One of the ways to actually check, you know, actually this works more with people who have websites, and they usually are very conscious about where the traffic is coming from. I'm not the type of person. I am really more into branding and just positioning and alignment of how I'd want to be communicated and portrayed to the general public, especially for my clients. So I just really wanted to actually showcase as well some of my profiles before we end, just so you guys have an idea of how to actually build your profiles. So we can actually start with online jobs. So this is my account in online jobs. I have an ID proof of 88. I actually, as much as possible, if you could keep that higher, like aim for 99 maybe or 100 if that's even possible. I haven't really gotten to 100, and it's because there are a lot of requirements here. Like you have to verify your Facebook and then connect it to online jobs. You also will have to manually upload IDs and then take tests. So all of those things that you do, activities and ID like verification methods, will actually improve your score. And then put your desired salary here, or your preferred rate, availability, and then take as many courses as possible. I have a lot of messages already. I would usually get invites from different people, and I obviously, because I have a lot of clients already, so I do not entertain the messages. I have been getting invitations regularly. I think by average maybe one in like around every week maybe. Yeah. And then of different sorts. And I've been actually in the industry for quite a while, so I've worked with a lot of clients already. Yeah, I remember this, Aaron. I've been working for him for the past 7 years. I actually do the listings for a rabbitry company. So um Aaron Webster is an owner of a rabbitry listing company based in New York, and is handling the rabbitry listings in UK and Canada and US, the biggest one actually. So my job for him is actually maintain listings. So I know a lot about rabbits, because you're supposed to really know a lot about your job to be good at it. Um, this is Hub Staff Talent. I actually have a profile here. So I think one of the I was able to acquire one good client from this platform. It was a CBD company based in the UK. CBD is actually legal in Ireland. So I used to do some managerial work for them. For but not quite long. I've only done the job for, I think, maybe around 6 months. And then obviously you can also see the other people who are showing their profiles here. Yeah, and then you can also check the rates. So you see the difference, right? Like if you're a foreigner, the rate is actually higher because I don't know, maybe because of the well, we have a cheaper labor here in the Philippines. So if you charge yourself at $45 per hour at a starting rate, that's not really gonna work. And then what I have a link tree because I have a lot of links. So I usually put all my links in Linktree just so I could actually easily access all of my links. So I have an access to my portfolio. So when you click on that, then you can actually see my account in Folio HD where I showcase all of the work that I've done for pay-per-click campaign accounts, for the mobile apps that I have developed, the designs, the websites that I've made, and all those other things. Yeah, the social media channels that I've managed and the personal pages. So you can also just check this out for sample. And it's my internet connection is very slow. I have a website as well, just because in my free time I actually really love building my portfolio. So that's also another one. And then I have a blog. I maintain a lot of sites actually, just because I've been in the industry for also for 10 years, so it's not really super new, you know. I also have a website where I actually showcase my services. So I get invited into different talks and speaking engagements, and this website is super slow. You see that I was actually citing Blackpink as an example for the social media phenomenon. I remember there was a fail that happened during this campaign way back in May last year, where this local brand actually talked about um, probably giving a false impression about their promo, and then it ended up not happening. So a lot of people were frustrated, and it actually became viral in Twitter. So much for that. Yeah. And then LinkedIn, most importantly, I love LinkedIn because it allows me to actually write articles, connect to people, and then people being able to give testimonials, and then you being able to engage as well with people who are very high ranked individuals, like CEO of this, vice president of a global accounting firm, and things like that. So I love LinkedIn as well. And I think that LinkedIn is also one of the better platforms who comes across or is a crossover of social media, networking, and a job marketplace. So it's really more of like an all-in-one, one-stop shop for freelancers. You kind of do a lot of things. Also Facebook, but this is a little more sleek and professional. So that's just basically it. I hope that you guys actually learned something from our learning session. I think I'm taking too much of your time already. I just really wanted to impart my thoughts on freelancer profiles. Hope you guys will actually create awesome accounts, and feel free to actually share those links to me. I'll be happy to actually look into that. But most importantly, also add me in LinkedIn and Facebook, and let's connect online so we can actually discuss more about best practices of virtual assistants, and hopefully we can become friends. You never know, right? So um, let's see. Okay, thank you guys, and I hope that you guys are going to enjoy the rest of the day, and see you in the next learning session.